Thank you so much for your interest in working for Argmax. Argmax is a machine learning consulting firm specializing in search and recommendation. We are currently hiring data scientists for our New York office and our Israel office, specifically Ramat Gan. This repo is taken from a real project after stripping down all of the client specific data. And if you're happy working on that project, that would be a pretty good indication of your day to day job working for Argmax. A few words about this position. We are looking for people that are proficient in Python, that are independent and naturally curious. You can go over a few of our past projects here. And in order to start with the submission, please make sure that you have Docker and Git installed on your computer, on your PC. Then run Docker Compose up once you clone the repo. Once you do that, you're going to have three servers running on your machine. The first is going to be our recipe search engine, where I can type any ingredient and get a list of recipes with this ingredient. And so on. And the second server that you're going to have running is a Jupyter Lab with one Jupyter notebook called task.ipynb. Your goal in this task is to classify the recipes that you've seen here into ketogenic recipes, and vegan recipes. We use OpenSearch to retrieve and store the recipes, and OpenSearch is supposed to be running on your machine, assuming that everything is set up correctly. We can verify that by querying it, by running this query. OpenSearch supports two ways of querying it. The first is using the Elasticsearch syntax, and this is an example. And the second is using SQL syntax. You can use whatever syntax you prefer. Regarding the task instructions, so you need to implement two classifiers, one for vegan meals and one for keto meals. For the purposes of this task, a vegan meal is defined as a meal that does not have even a single recipe, even a single ingredient that is an animal product, meaning no eggs, no milk, no meat, no pork, etc. And a keto meal, ketogenic meal, is defined as a recipe that does not have any ingredient that has more than 10% carbs, meaning 10 gram per 100 gram serving. Here's a simple heuristics that we wrote for your convenience. In this heuristic, we are going to iterate over the list of ingredients. And for each ingredient, we're going to do a simple string matching to see if it has the word egg, meat, milk, butter, veal, lamb, beef, chicken, or sausage in it. If any of those strings appear in the ingredient name, then we disqualify the entire recipe and as vegan. So in order for a recipe to be vegan, all of the ingredients need not have those strings. And this is an example of the results. Please note that there are a lot of limitations of these very simplistic heuristics. For example, peanut butter is not vegan according to this heuristic because butter is assumed to be a dairy product while it is not. Any recipes including the word eggless in its ingredient list would be qualified as non-vegan because of the word egg, even though it might be vegan. And obviously, we didn't list here all of the possible words that can describe meat. So things like pork or bacon that are obviously meat are going to be misclassified as vegan. So while this heuristic is pretty simplistic, we are going to use that as our baseline. Your submission. So you would be required to implement your own classifiers. You can do that on a per ingredient basis. Your implementation should be in dietclassifiers.py, located in our Flask web server. For your convenience, we also have added the diet classifier to this Jupyter lab server with a script that can verify its correctness. In order to run it, you can run this command, and it verifies your implementation against a very small data set of roughly 100 examples with the correct classification. Um, Please be sure that you copied it also to the Flask server. Once you do, you're going to see here a keto badge or a vegan badge appearing when you search for ketogenic or vegan recipes. So that's a good way to make sure that everything is set up correctly. Once you finish with the implementation, please create a private GitHub repo and invite our user, Argmax 2025, as a collaborator. Please do not share your implementation using a forked repository. So let's elaborate on that for a second. Once you clone the repo, if I hit settings and scroll all the way down, I want to make sure that my repo is private. And I can click here to invite a collaborator. And please make sure to invite us, Argmax 2025, with writing permissions. We are going to be reading and writing to your submission. Once you're done with the implementation and you've set up the repo accordingly, please fill in the appropriate form for the US application form or the Israeli application form. It's very important to do that because otherwise we would have no indication that you're done with the coding. So please be sure to submit the form once you're done. We would evaluate the submission based on 3 criteria. First of all, are we able to understand it? Is it readable? Can we understand its logic? So please avoid any magic numbers or references to sources, to obscure sources. And make sure to include any sources that you use. It could be ingredient databases, nutrition data sets, or any other data set that you compose. So we'll be able to follow your logic. Next, we are going to run your submission. So make sure that it's executable. A pretty common failure mode here is that please make sure that all of the paths are relative. Do not encode any absolute path in the repo. And last but not least is the accuracy of the classifiers. We have a holdout set of roughly 20K recipes with verified labels, and we'll compare your submission based to the baseline submission to make sure that we actually made progress here. And the next step would be a follow-up interview, a live interview, where you would be required to extend your submission to additional use cases live. So make sure that you understand everything in your submission. It's okay to use AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT. Just make sure that you understand everything that you submit and any of the code that is available on this repo. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us at our email address, which is challenge25@argmaxml.com. And we wish you all the best of luck.